Greetings, friends, and welcome to Beast Foundry. My name is Christian, and as usual, I will be your guide today. Now, hey, keep it down. Okay, so today we're gonna... Okay, guys, I know it's a crafting video, but seriously? Okay. Jesus, okay, you have to stop. I'll let you know when I'm done. Okay? Whew, okay. Today, as you might guess, we are going to be doing a crafting video. Now, as you may have guessed with the name like Beast Foundry, something that's always been very important to me and, goes back to when I was a kid is I love monsters and making equipment from those monsters. Now, when I started doing my own world, that was something I really wanted to dive into, and it makes this very immersive experience for your players that as they're playing and they're defeating monsters, that they can make equipment that is related to these monsters. So I've come up with a slew of crafting rules that I would love to share with you guys. The first part we're going to cover is called crafting components. Now, whenever your party defeats a monster, you have the option of allowing them to gather what I refer to as crafting components. They make a check, and it is either a knowledge check based on the type of creature, like if divine for undead, or arcane for constructs, or crafting for constructs, or nature for animals, or so on and so forth. Now, it is a hard DC based on their level, so whatever that level-based DC is, you're going to add 2, and if they're successful, they can retrieve a value of crafting components shown here on this list. Now, this value is strictly for them to use to craft things related to these monsters. If you're fighting, say, a winter wolf, you could use what you retrieved in crafting material to make items that had to do with cold resistance or cold damage, or quick movement like a wolf, or something that involved scent, or something that involved more keen hearing. There's no set, this is exactly what you can make. It's more of a very thematic thing to allow your players some additional resources that will make it easier for them to craft these components from the creatures they have fought. So at the end, what you're going to have is, over the course of their adventures, they're more easily able to make these items, so hopefully they will. They're going to be decked out with things that they have fought over the course of their adventuring career. And if you have some kind of cloak that you've crafted from the hide of an owlbear, and it gives you resistance to sonic damage from like a screech or anything like that. The sky is the limit as far as the flavor and what you want to allow with these things. But the overall concept is, as I said, it is just to help give them some extra material to build things. And these could be for consumables, they could be for scrolls, just like with the Winter Wolf. It could be a scroll of Cone of Cold it could be applied to, or an item that grants some kind of chill touch, or ray of frost, or resistance to cold, as I've said, all of that stuff. And it really is just designed so that your players will be more engaged with the outcome of the fights instead of, okay, we've killed this thing, we moved on. And it actually kind of helps in the sense that this is a 10-minute activity, that it goes in line with some of your characters that like, oh, okay, well, I need to refocus, or I'm going to treat wounds. You might have these other characters that like, oh, I'm going to harvest whatever crafting components I can from these creatures. So I just thought it was a really fun and engaging way to liven up the game. Now, one of the things that I have also done here is I've made some modifications to the crafting rules. And for that, what I've done is, instead of making one check at the end to see if you are successful, a normal crafting check, you spend half the gold, and when you're done, you make a check, and you can either spend the other half of the gold to finish the item after 4 days, or you can spend additional time and earn more gold and help lower that value. The only problem with that is, as you get into higher level items that cost a lot, there is no amount of time that's going to have a major impact on how much you were able to reduce the cost of that item. So I came up with some rules that basically what you do is when you're going to craft an item, you make that first initial crafting check. And if it is a success, you consume 25% of the price and you complete 8 hours worth of work. And what I've done is, instead of saying 4 days, we're saying it takes 32 hours. These hours do not have to be consecutive. You could spend 2 hours one night, you could spend 3 hours the next night. And what it does is it allows characters to help make items more on the fly while they're adventuring instead of, okay, I have to have downtime to do this. So it's just adding a lot more flexibility. You do have to spend a minimum of an hour though. You can't go, okay, I'm gonna work on this for 10 minutes and I'm gonna work on this for 20 minutes. No, it has to at least be in hour-long increments. And after you have successfully collected 8 hours worth of labor on this, you make your check. If it is a critical success, you finish 16 hours worth of work, thusly half of it. It only costs 25% of the material. So technically, if you get 2 critical successes, you can finish this item in 2 8-hour blocks and it will only cost you 50%. And then, as I said, on a successful check, it's 25 and 25. You 25% of the time, 8 hours, 25% of the gold. If you fail, it costs 25% of the gold and you make no progress towards the labor. And then if you critically fail, it costs 50% of the gold. And again, no costs on, you make no progress on the labor. So, and you can abandon the project at any time and reclaim half of the gold that you have invested. Now, I do know and understand the penalty is a little higher here. And if you're trying to make items of your level, this is a challenging process. You would want people to help you. And the reason I've actually designed it this way is it's kind of like combat. You know, if you're 4th level and you're fighting one CR4 creature, that's an extreme encounter for you. It could go either way. Either you'll win or it will win. And for the most part, combat has a tendency for a creature of equal level that either way, it is either 4 hits and they go down or it's 4 hits and you go down. There's, you know, randomness involved, but overall, that's kind of the area that I was working with, is this, you know, rule of 4, as it were. So what I wanted to do is work with, you get these 4 normal successes and you've created an item. And what this also does is when you're making items a couple levels lower than you, you're able to do them much quicker because you're going to get those critical successes. And in the term of consumables, you know, it says you craft 4 consumables when you're done. Well, what I've done is I've added a notation here that every 25% or 8 hours of labor spent and completed successfully, you create 1 consumable. So if you got a critical success, you would create 2 consumables and it would cost 25%. And then say the next time you got 1 success, so that, or a standard success, so that would create 1 consumable and take 25%. And say the next time you got another critical. Well, you only had 8 hours worth of labor left. So that critical is kind of going to be wasted in a sense. You're only going to finish that 8 hours, which is all you needed to complete the project, and you're going to spend that 25%. So I'm throwing that as an example just to show you that if you do get that critical when you only need 8 hours, it honestly doesn't have any extra benefit to you. I just wanted to throw this out there and get this to you guys is an alternate way. By of course no means, if you like the original crafting rules, please feel free to use them. I just wanted to open this up and, you know, just give it a little more gusto so that people would feel more inclined to use it. So as I said, you know, it's almost like this monster system. If you're trying to create an item that is your level, it's not that hard to get a success. I think most of the time, if you are completely focused on crafting, you only need to roll a 6 or higher to get a success, and thusly a 16 or higher to get a critical success. And then there are crafting feats that you can get that if you are successful, they turn a success into a critical success. I believe it's a 7th level crafting feat that allows you to do that for specific types. Like you can choose, oh, I'm only going to be able to do this with weapons or armor, but when I do it, I get a critical success every time I get a success. Feats like that are going to be incredibly awesome with this system. So as you can see, we've been going over this. You've seen lots of this on the screen here, but this is going to be available at the Beast Foundry Patreon. There's going to be a link at the bottom of this page. This is completely free. You do not have to be a member of the Patreon, or you don't have to be contributing to the Patreon. You can just sign on and go download these rules. If you are interested in them, there is zero charge. I do hope you consider helping and consider, sponsoring Beast Foundry in a sense of that you are willing to support us, because I love doing this stuff. And if you like it too, every little bit of support I get gets me closer to being able to do more awesome and great stuff with everything that I'm doing. So I do hope you will consider supporting us, but this is completely free. So I think that's about all I have for you guys today. So as usual, game well, my friends.